Good evening, and welcome to Beginners Yoga at the Hatha Yoga Center in Seattle. I'm Chris, and I think maybe tonight we might start in a seated position, so finding a place where you can be comfortable for a few minutes and where you can find your long spine, and that might be sitting on the floor with your legs crossed. It might be sitting up on a cushion or a block, or in a chair if it's hard to sit on the floor. You could also sit with your legs folded underneath you. So finding your sit bones. So you might kind of move around a little bit until you feel like you're kind of evenly centered and grounded into both sides of your body, maybe a little forwards and backwards, just to locate your upper body in space. See if you can let your lower body be heavy, and then feeling your spine lengthening up, allowing your face to relax, the shoulders to slide down the back of the rib cage, let your trap muscles soften away from your ears. You could bring your palms down on your thighs, and then just begin to bring yourself into the awareness of your breath. Relaxing your face, finding the natural curves of your spine. So feeling the curve of your neck, and your head is balanced on top of your shoulders. And just breathing in and out through your nose for a couple breaths, just feeling the breath. Feeling how your rib cage expands and contracts with the breath. You might allow your belly to move with the breath so that your respiratory diaphragm, when it moves down to accommodate the inhale, it kind of pushes your belly out a little bit. So you might relax the belly a little as you inhale. And then as you exhale, you're kind of drawing the belly in to help push the air out. So just moving with the breath. And just noticing, taking a quick scan through your body and noticing if you have any places where you're feeling particularly tense or knotted up, and see if you can soften a little bit with your breath. Just bringing yourself into this kind of this stillness, but with the breath flowing. And then you could bring your hands together at your heart. If you'd like to set an intention for your practice today, something that you might be able to take action on during your practice. For example, more focus on breath, or being gentle with myself, or there's lots of possibilities. So take a moment, if you'd like, obviously not mandatory. And then you could bow your head to your heart, setting your intention. And then release your hands and just slowly sweep your arms up. Keep your shoulder blades still kind of sliding down the back of your rib cage. Maybe bringing the hands together and back through the midline. Let's do that again. Sweeping your arms up. You could lift your gaze. And then the next time you do that, just pause at the top and reach up. So feel how you're reaching really from your seat all the way up through the fingertips. Your hands could be shoulder width. And then you could bring the hands back down again and clasp your hands and press out, stretching into the wrists and the forearms and the palms of the hands. Still breathing consciously, releasing your hands. And let's come to hands and knees. I'm going to bring this camera up a little higher. And so coming to hands and knees, and we'll do a little cat-cow. So spreading your hands and bringing them right underneath the shoulders, and then beginning to round your spine, exhaling Initiate the movement with the pelvis. Tip your pelvis and arch your back. Inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Feel how your head is kind of moving along with the rest of the spine. So you're not starting the movement with the head. A couple more times like that. Just massaging the discs in between the bones of your vertebrae. And then come back to your tabletop. Just walk your knees back. Come into a prayer pose. You could wrap the elbows in and maybe start with the forearms lifted. So you're stretching into the middle of your back, broadening, and into the arms. Just taking a breath or two here, lengthening your spine, decompressing your lower back. And then just slide forward onto your belly and come into Sphinx pose. So feeling your belly lifting and tailbone lengthening down towards your heels. So taking a little bit of the extra arch out of your low back, breathing. Keep your neck easy. You could even turn your head a little. And it's almost like you're pulling your heart through your arms, or at least you're moving in that direction. Just another breath there. And then sweep your arms back and clasp your hands and roll up. You could lift your hands off your lower back for a little more. And maybe lift the toes. Coming into the locust pose, keeping the neck long. Maybe rolling onto your side. You could come onto your left side. Bringing the right shoulder blade down the back. Roll onto your right side. Breathing. Staying with your steady breath. And then back to your belly, lifting up again. And releasing. Come back to your Sphinx pose. And then you might actually bring your elbows forward and just stretch into the back of the neck a little bit with your hands underneath your chin, or you could just bring your thumbs underneath, just finding a little extension in your neck, feeling a stretch in the muscle and the tissue of your chin. If it's too much to have the hands underneath, you can just put your thumbs underneath. And then release that and bring your hands under your shoulders, tuck the elbows in, bend the knees. Come back to prayer for a moment. And tuck your toes and maybe bring your hips back and stretch into the bottoms of your feet. I'm having a little foot cramp, so I need to do this. And you might feel that in the back of your lower legs as well. And then back up to hands and knees. So finding your tabletop position, so making sure that your head's not dropping forward. Keep lifting through the back of the head. Reaching back through the right foot, tucking the ball of the foot into the floor or the mat. You could rock a little bit, coming into the back of your calf. Lifting belly, keeping your sacrum level. And then let that foot come back up and back, pressing back. You can stay there, or you can lift your left arm. So lengthening from the fingertips, from the heel of your foot all the way through the fingertips of your left hand. You could try for more lifting the top of your left foot up. Just a half an inch off the floor. Drawing the belly up and in, breathing, and release that. And just make circles with your hips. Make them in whatever shape feels good. So they can be big circles or little circles. Maybe switch directions. And coming back to your hands and knees. Then we'll reach back through the left foot. Tuck your toes. Feeling the stretch in the back of your left leg, ankle. Breathing, keeping the head lifted. So you're pressing into your hands and lifting up out of that gravitational pull. And then let your foot come up, toes are pointing straight down, reaching back through your heel. Maybe you're lifting your right arm forward. Maybe you're lifting the top of your right foot up a little bit. And you might notice that one side's a little harder. Breathing, finding your gaze. And then release that. And again, just circling the hips, moving your belly. You might make really big circles with your hips. Maybe switch directions. You could even bring your hips forward. Being a little careful if you do that with the low back. And then coming back to your hands and knees one more time. We'll do one more thing on hands and knees. We're going to reach back through the right foot and forward through the left arm, and then we'll exhale and draw the knee and the elbow towards each other as we round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round. One more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round, and release it. And then we'll do the other side. So reaching back with your left foot, forward with the right arm. Exhale, draw the knee and the elbow towards each other. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round. One more. Inhale, reach. Draw the elbow to the knee. And release. And then just come into prayer again. Just taking a moment. Wrapping the elbows in. Lifting the tail. Bring your forehead down and just release your neck. And then walk your hands over towards the left. Reaching your right hip back. You could flip your right hand so the back of the hand comes to the floor. And then walking hands over towards the right. Drawing your left hip back. And you could flip your left palm, bringing the back of the hand to the floor. It gives you a little different stretch. Breathing. And then hands back to center. One more breath there. And then just tuck your toes again and come back and just sit on your feet for one moment. One more stretch there. Finding your long spine here. And then we're going to come up to stand at the front of the mat. So maybe let your arms hang for a moment. Find the openness in the front of your chest. And feel the weight of your body distributed over the soles of the feet. And how do you stand on your feet? You might spread your toes, feel your arches lifting. And feet are hip width, so just kind of straight down from these bones that we think of as the hip bones. Raising your arms. Jensen, your hips aren't quite that wide, I know. Sometimes it feels like it, but they're not. And it's no big deal to have your feet. You don't have to have them perfect, but. So just taking a breath. We're just kind of looking for like a base, a good steady base to do these standing poses. And then exhale, come forward. Kind of like a neutral position. That is our, sort of our, I guess base is the right word. Base that we're working from. So taking a couple breaths in your forward bend. Long spine, hinging forward at the hips. Again, noticing how the weight of your body is distributed over the soles of the feet. You could bend your knees a little bit and tip your tail And so the head and shoulders stay lifted as the tail stays lifted, keeping this neutral spine. Nice steady breath. And then let's step the left foot back and bring the knee down. Stay low in your lunge. Just keeping your right inner thigh tucked right up against your torso. Lifting shoulders and head. So if you're really struggling to get down to the floor, just bring your hands up to your knee or onto blocks or something. Bringing the floor up a little higher. So feel how your right hip kind of wants to swing out to the side, draw it back. Keep reaching the knee forward as you draw the hip back, so there's some tension there as the femur is moving in this dynamic way, right? It's reaching forward and reaching back, all the muscles helping to support that. Just another breath there. And then take a little twist. So reach your right arm up and open up your chest. You might notice that the head wants to come forward. Just let it come back, opening up. And bringing that hand back down again. And then bring your weight back up and come into this kind of this stronger low lunge where your weight is over your left knee. Kind of wiggle your right foot over, right in front of the knee. You might have your arms out to the sides, and then see if you can lift it up. And balance over the left knee. And then bring it back down and let the arms float up. Keeping the hips square, breathing. You could lift your gaze. And then bring your hands together like we did before and just press out through the hands. You might be able to bring them up. It starts to get kind of uncomfortable. When you're ready, just release the hands. You might be able to bring them all the way up. And then release. And then we'll exhale, bring your hands down, step back to downward facing dog. So you can have your knees bent quite a bit to begin with. Really press into your hands and wrap your elbows in, letting the shoulder blades slide, lifting tail. And maybe bending your knees a bit and letting your heels come side to side so that you're kind of stretching into the bottoms and the sides of your feet and lower legs, ankle joints. And then come back to center. And let's come forward to plank pose. So keeping the head lifted as you come forward, strong in your legs, keeping the shoulder blades kind of tight on the back of the rib cage. Nice steady breath. And then knees down. And again, come all the way onto the floor with your elbows by your sides. Reach back, clasp your hands, and lift up again. If you keep your hands down, it's a little easier. You might try lifting them up. Breathing. And release your hands, bring them back under the shoulders, tuck the elbows in, and come back up to downward facing dog. Stepping right foot up and over left, bringing the sole of the right foot to the floor. You could lift your right hip, reaching through your right hand, wrapping that elbow in, breathing. You can also lift the left heel, or you can kind of bring it back towards the floor. And then stepping the right foot back to center and the left foot over right foot. Lifting left hip up. And then back to center. And just pause for a moment. And then we'll step the left foot to the front of the mat, bring your right knee down. Again, fingers could be on the floor, on blocks, maybe on your knee, but keep the shoulders and head from rounding forward. And that inner thigh is right alongside your torso Finding your gaze and your breath here. And then maybe we're opening into a twist. Just an easy twist, letting the head come back. Upper body's twisting. Bringing the hand back down. And then bringing your weight back and up over the right knee. Walking your left foot over so it's right in front of your right leg. And then try lifting. And balancing. And bring it back down. Keeping that engagement. Let your arms float up. Breathing. Nice steady breath. And then you could sweep your hands back and clasp your hands. Pull the shoulders back. And keep drawing your head back, so you're not forward with the head. Opening the chest, breathing. Release the hands. Let them float up one more time. And then we'll step forward into the forward bend. So bending the knees as much as you feel you need to keep your spine long and allowing the legs to open slowly. Finding your steady breath. And then we'll swing the arms up. Reaching up. And you could do that hand thing again. Clasp your hands, press out. Stretch your hands. Let your arms come up. Don't let your shoulders come up. And then release. Lengthening, hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment. Maybe bringing yourself back to any intention you might have set. Noticing if you've remembered it or if you're honoring it. And then let's do another one. So raising the arms again, lengthening up. And feeling grounding through the sacrum and the tailbone, lengthening down, reaching up through your pubic bone, through your sternum, reaching. And then coming forward again into forward bend. Going through these poses and counter poses, feeling your back moving, keeping your back healthy. And just another breath there. And then we're going to step the right foot to the back of the mat and come up into warrior one with your back heel lifted. Bending your back knee so that you're still grounding through the sacrum, lifting through pubic bone, sternum, coming into this bend of the front knee. Lifting gaze, finding your breath. Hips stay square. So bend your back knee just a little more so you can move your pelvis. Yes. That's good. And then exhale, bring the hands down. Step back to downward facing dog. And take a couple breaths in your down dog. You could move your hips a little. Maybe you could lift your left foot up and then open the hip and bend your knee. Keep reaching strongly through your hands and wrapping the elbows in. And then lengthen it back up. Bring it down and reach the right foot up. And open the hip. Bend the knee, so you're stretching into the front of your right hip and belly. And straighten it back up. And bring it back down. And then coming forward into plank pose. You can always bring your knees down if you need to. So hips are in between the crown of the head and the heels. Maybe your knees come down and then you're going to come all the way to the floor with your elbows by your sides. And then you could bring your arms out to the sides like this and draw the shoulder blades together, like draw the elbows down, lift the toes. So opening the chest, breathing. A couple more breaths, staying with it. And then just exhale and release to the floor, rock your hips a little bit, side to side. And then hands under the shoulders, elbows are tucked into the sides, come back up to downward dog. And then we're gonna have a big step with your right foot to the front of the mat and come up into your warrior one pose with your back heel lifted and your knee bent so that your pelvis is not pitched forward, your body is straight up and down. Yep. Bending the front knee a little deeper. Keeping the hips square, finding your steady gaze, steady breath. You could draw your elbows together, lift your heart, maybe do that again. Inhale the arms up, exhale together. One more time, inhale up, exhale, draw the elbows together, inhale up, and then exhale, step forward into your forward bend. You could reach back and clasp your hands at your sacrum. You might be able to bring the arms up a bit, just keeping the shoulders and head from rounding. Breathing. And then release the hands. And then sweeping the arms up. And then maybe here, sweep your hands back and clasp your hands. And just another breath. Release your hands. And just let them hang for a moment. In fact, you could do a little twist. Let your arms be dead weight. And then come back to center. Let's step our feet wide and go sideways on our mats. And then we'll just come forward, hinging at the hip, of course. You can have a block if you need one. Just bending into one knee and the other. Just moving, easy, side to side. Letting your shoulders and your elbows move. And then coming back to center. And just coming into the forward bend, you could reach back and clasp your hands. Or alternately, you could bring your hands around the back of your neck and traction your skull a little bit. If that's comfortable for you. So either of those. And then release your hands. Let's walk the hands over towards the lower left foot or ankle. You can let go of your neck. Keep drawing your right hip back, tipping your tail. And breathing. And then walking hands over to the right foot or ankle. Keep drawing your left hip back, breathing. Let your head relax. And then release the hands, bring them back to center. And again, just bend into one knee and the other. And then let's come over towards the right and bend into that knee and keep your left foot pinned to the floor, toes pointing forward. You might be able to bring your right elbow into the knee. You could maybe come to the forearm or just stay up on your hand. Keep your spine long or a block. And then of course you're negotiating how far apart your feet are. So you're going to feel a deep stretch in your left inner thigh and your groins. Breathing. Stay with your steady breath. So no need to push yourself too far. And then you could walk the hands over towards the left foot. You might turn the left toes out slightly, maybe bringing your left elbow into your knee and planting your right foot, maybe coming to the forearm or staying up on the hand, just bending and into the knee and feeling that deep stretch, breathing, long spine, and coming back to center. And just take a moment there. You could try walking the hands back underneath you and just bringing your palms to the floor. And then feel how the weight kind of wants to come back into the heels. So just tip your tail and bring the weight more centered over your feet. And then release the hands. And let's heel toe the feet in and come into that low squat. So we'll just reach the sit bones back. You could bring your hands down to your ankles. Yeah, sit back so that it's like you're reaching your booty for a wall behind you. You might be able to reach your arms forward, keeping the head lifted. Breathing, so really strong in your legs. Your knees are pushing out, your belly's lifting. And then come forward, straighten the legs. You could maybe do a little Ichiro stretch, so bringing the hands into the knee and dipping one shoulder. We call this the Ichiro here because Ichiro used to do this. He did a lot of interesting things with his workouts. And release that. And then try, we don't usually do this, but I saw somebody do this the other day, so I'm going to try it. Try bending into your right knee and bringing your hand over for a twist like this. So we usually do it with straight legs, but try it with your knee bent. So you're keeping your spine long. Yes. Let's take another breath, opening the chest, and then coming back to straight right leg and bend into your left knee, bringing your right hand down. Just something to try. It's a little different. And then bring that hand down, coming back to center. And then let's do it with just the hand right centered in between. So take your left hand in between the line of the toes. You might turn the fingers back. You might bring your hand back to your sacrum and just turn your spine. Nice, Jensen. Great. And breathing. If you want a little more, you can pick your left hand up and press it into the right thigh. Gives you a little leverage for lengthening the spine. And then turning back down towards the floor, bringing the right fingertips in between the line of the toes. Left hand comes back, palm down on sacrum, and you're just turning and opening your shoulders, maybe picking your right hand up and pressing it into the left thigh. Still breathing, and then turning back down. And just ease it out, bend into one knee and the other. And then let's come forward and come into frog pose. So your feet can come together, and then just keeping your head lifted, finding the right spot for your hips. And just staying with it and breathing. Just giving it a few moments here to stay with it. You could try walking or coming up onto your hands, if that feels okay for your body. Kind of press into the floor. You can bring your hips forward a little. So you're in kind of like a cobra variation. You could even do lion's breath. So inhale, exhale, and stick your tongue out and make noise. One more time. One more time. It's kind of embarrassing, but it feels good. And then just bring your hips back, draw your knees together, and just come to sit for a moment. You can take a little twist, bring your right hand to your left knee, turning. Keep the right shoulder relaxed, and then turning in the opposite direction. And release. And then let's make our way back to down dog. Let's do pigeon. So back to downward facing dog. Just bending a little into one knee and the other. Actually, before we do pigeon, let's step the right foot forward and bring the knee down and just come into a little stretch of the back of the calf. So bring the knee forward, and you might have your left hand on the floor, or you can use a block if you need to. So we're not trying to harm our knee, but this is one way to get into the back of the right lower leg. So keeping your head and shoulders lifted, and then bringing the weight back and stepping into pigeon, so letting your knee come down. So finding the right spot for your knee, it could be angled out towards the edge of the mat, and maybe coming down to your forearms or to a block, or just taking your time and finding your breath. And just paying attention. You could maybe release your hands and notice if the head wants to drop forward, just keeping the spine long and the breath steady. I'm kind of feeling for the place where your hips are centered. So if you're kind of listing off to one side a little bit, just finding the spot and staying with it. And then let's come back up, bring your left hand kind of by your right knee and reach back for your foot with your right hand. So you're in a bit of a twist. And just letting the ankle kind of pull into the hand to pull you up. The right elbow could be a little bit bent, so that right shoulder's opening. And just watching for your head. It probably wants to come forward. Just bring it back up. Breathing, and then release that. And then let's lean to the right and swing your back leg around over to the other side of your right thigh. And then let the left sit bone come back towards the floor. And that could be with your right leg straight. So just letting the sit bones ground completely. And then maybe you're reaching underneath your left thigh with your right hand and coming into the twist. So Jensen, you might try straightening this leg and see if you can really work with your spine and your breath. Opening your chest. One more breath there, and then just turning to face your front of your mat. Stack your knee. So if you have your right leg bent, that's fine. You'll come into this steer pose, or you can come into this half steer pose with your bottom leg straight. And then you could bring your hands back or forward, but just trying not to round into it. Let's come in with this hinge of the hip. And with the sit bones pretty grounded. So feeling those hip rotators in the back. You have 6 muscles that come together here deeply. called your rotators. The one we always hear about is the piriformis. It's a popular one. And it can be pretty intense, but they're useful muscles. They help stabilize us as we walk and help us move our hips in and out of internal and external rotation. And so just breathing into that sensation. And then we'll lean back a bit. Let's do this one where we step the right foot forward and bring your left ankle on top of your right knee as you're sitting. So you can move your hips closer to your heel, just finding the right spot. Just being thoughtful about your knee. Might be able to get a little stretch in your shoulders. And maybe letting your knee kind of go side to side. And then walk that foot out a little bit and come onto your back. And then maybe you can reach through for your right thigh. And let your hips kind of go side to side. So you're in this figure four stretch. Maybe the left elbow's kind of pushing into the left thigh or knee. And then let's take it into a twist from here. So you can take your right hand on this left ankle and bring your left arm out to the side and let your left foot come over towards the right. So you're in a twist and you're hanging on to the ankle. You might not be able to bring your foot to the floor, so just let go of the ankle if that's the case. And then you're sort of pushing your knee back away from your body. A little bit. Your top knee, your left knee. So you'll feel that in the rotators. You'll feel that stretch. And you'll feel it in some other places too, probably. Letting your upper body relax and finding your breath. And then we'll just release the hand from the ankle and bring ourselves back up to this thread the needle pose one more time, so reaching through, or figure four pose, I guess we call it. Probably has another name too. Keep pressing the tailbone back towards the floor. And breathing. And then release your hands and unwind your legs. You can just let your arms and legs come up and just shake them around a little bit, just letting it go. And then we'll rock up. And come back to your downward dog, and we'll do the other side. So just evening yourself out. And then we're going to step the left foot forward. What did I do on that side? Oh, that's right. We stretched into the back of the leg first. So you can bring your right knee down. Just bring the knee forward. Stretching into your ankle joint and the back of the calf. We got a kitty in here with us tonight. Don't we? So breathing. And then bring your weight back a little and come into pigeon on this side. So taking your time, finding the right spot for your hips, and moving slowly, maybe to your forearms. And then just finding the breath and the spine. It's good, breathing. And just kind of noticing how easy it is to space out in this pose. Just see if you can kind of gently coax yourself to stay focused. Breathing. You can always bring your attention back to your breath. There's nothing wrong with spacing out, but if we're practicing, we might want to practice kind of working with our mind working with staying focused and staying present in our bodies, in our breath. And then we'll walk the hands back up. We'll bring the right hand down and reach back for your right ankle with your left hand. Breathing. Just a couple more breaths, feeling a big stretch in the front of the right hip if you have your ankle. Belly, probably in your quads. And then release that. And lean towards the left and swing your right leg around. You could straighten your left leg, or you could bring your right foot over onto the side of your left thigh. Yep. And then finding your spine and reaching maybe the hand underneath your right thigh, the left hand and right hand comes back, turning and breathing yourself into the twist. Staying upright, watching for the head to come forward. So turning the other way towards the bent knee. Yeah, there you go. Either way is okay, but since you probably twisted to the other side last time. Feel the breath expanding your rib cage. Even here in this more compromised position, feel your belly moving. And then unwinding. And then we're going to stack the knees. That could be with your left leg still straight. You're going to come into this Gomukhasana or steer pose, cow facing pose. And you're folding forward, slowly breathing. Just kind of noticing what comes up for you in this pose. It can be can feel a little stuck. So how can you feel less stuck? Usually it has to do with the breath. So if you're not breathing well, then it's easy to feel trapped. Or if you can't move your pelvis, then you can also feel kind of trapped. So maybe notice if you can still find just a little bit of tip and tuck of the pelvis. So and we're mostly tipping here, so the tailbone is reaching out behind us. One more breath there. And then we'll come to sit up, bringing your hands back, and bring your left foot out in front and right ankle on top of your left knee. You can walk your hips towards your heel. Keep lifting your heart, and then just kind of drawing the belly in. Try not to round down into your shoulders. Keep lifting up, maybe moving a little side to side. And then maybe stepping that foot forward and coming back onto your back. And reaching through for your thigh, maybe pressing your right knee away with your right elbow. Maybe rocking a little bit side to side there. And then release your hands, bring your left hand onto your right ankle as you let that foot come over towards the floor. The sole of the foot and the right arm comes out to the side. If you need to let go of your ankle to bring it to the floor, that's fine. If you can keep a hold of it, you'll feel an interesting stretch. You can also kind of press your right knee away from you. So you're getting some length in the waistline on the right side, and feel the outer hip muscles, the rotators, maybe kind of down into the side of your thigh. Relax your upper body. And then bring your foot back up and maybe come back to the figure 4 stretch for a moment, rocking a little bit side to side. And then release and uncross your legs and do that thing. Just let your legs kind of rotate in the hips and rotate your shoulders like a dead bug. And then bend your knees and rock a little bit. I'm going to get a strap. Hopefully at home you have a ball and a strap. Give you guys a strap. Everybody gets a rainbow strap. And I'm going to pick up my mat and set it off to the side. So hopefully you have one of these balls. We're going to use these in a few minutes. And a strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, you could use a bathrobe strap or a belt. So coming onto the floor again and bending your left knee, bring your right leg up and put the strap underneath the sole of your right foot, under the ball of the foot. So using the strap to make your arms longer, basically, so that you can really let your shoulders relax. So there's no strain in your shoulders. Flexing your foot, you can use the strap to kind of bring some tension, pulling the foot back towards you. If you do that, keep pressing tailbone back towards the floor. So you're not rounding your lower back to get the leg up further. If that starts to happen, just back off a little and then find your breath. And then from here, take the strap into your right hand. You can let your left knee come over towards the left as you let your right foot come towards the right. Keep flexing the foot, so you've got a little counterbalance here. Hi, kitty. Maybe your upper arm's kind of on the floor. You have the strap. You can also hold your foot if you have that amount of flexibility. So feeling the inner thigh stretch. Then bringing that leg back up and the knee back up. And extend your left leg. And find your breath. So now you're in kind of a splits, upside down. Splits. And then take the strap into the left hand, the right arm out to the side. And just slowly bring the foot over across your body, but keep your sacrum down. So keep it down, don't lift it up yet. So you'll feel the stretch up the outer right thigh. It's pretty intense. Take a couple breaths there. Keep lengthening. You could even take your thumb into the hip and just lengthen it down. And then maybe the foot comes further over and you're lifting your low back, but keep your shoulders on the floor. Find your steady breath. If you want to reach for your left foot and come into kind of like a quad stretch with your left leg, you could do that. Maybe your right foot, the edge of your right foot's on the floor. And then release that foot and bring that leg back up for a moment. You can take both legs in the strap for a minute, both feet, and just be like in a L shape for a moment. Feels kind of good. It's like legs up the wall. And then take your right leg and bring it out and bring the sole of your right foot to the floor so that knee is bent. Again, keep moving the tailbone back towards the floor so you're not rolling up your low back here. So feel how when you're on your back like this, you can find your spinal alignment nicely. Because you'll know, if you're curling up your low back, you'll know it. If the curve of your neck is flattening out, you'll feel it. And then take the strap into the left hand and maybe let your right knee drop over towards the right as your left foot comes out to the side. just for counterbalance with your right leg. So feeling a stretch on the inner thigh on the left leg. Let your breath be nice and full and deep and steady. And then bringing that foot back up and the right knee back in, extend your right leg. Bring the strap into your right hand. Maybe the left hand arm comes out to the side. And then you'll bring your right foot across your body, but not lifting your lower back off the floor. So there will be a point at which you can't bring the leg over any further. And just pause for a moment there and breathe into that discomfort, muscular discomfort. And then let the leg come all the way over, perhaps reaching for your right foot with your left hand. And maybe you're looking back over your left shoulder, so you're in a twist. You don't have to reach for your right foot, that's just a possibility. And slowly bringing yourself back up to center, extending your right leg. Take one last moment here. And then just bring your right foot up into the strap again. So you're in this, you're basically in like a forward bend, but now you have your back on the floor. So you could bring your feet closer to you as long as you can press the tailbone back towards the floor, so don't roll your back up. And then release that. You can just set the strap down, draw the knees in, and rock a little bit side to side. And I'd like to use the ball to do some core work, and then we'll do some rolling as well. So taking your ball, let's put it underneath the sacrum. So you're going to have supported bridge pose over the ball. So let your upper body relax. You could start with just some movement of the pelvis. So feet are hip width. Bring your arms down by your sides. Just press the tailbone into the ball and then lift it up like you're just moving your pelvis. And noticing which muscles have to engage and which muscles help you to do that. Then press the tailbone into the ball and bring the legs up. Arms out to the sides. And we'll just do one leg at a time, heels together, toes apart. Inhale your right heel down, almost all the way to the floor, and then exhale, press tailbone into the ball and bring it back up. Then inhale, left heel towards the floor, press the tailbone into the ball, and exhale back up. And you can stay with one leg at a time, or you can switch to both legs. So if you're switching, heels together, your toes slightly apart, and you're inhaling your legs down and then exhaling back up. Keep the tailbone pressing into the ball as you bring them back up. And keep your belly long. Keep it lengthening. And you can feel that you have to use a lot of core strength for this. Try to release your shoulders, but you also might use a little bit of the muscles in the back of your butt and your hips. Just maybe like one or two more times. And then on your last time, maybe you can just let the feet come to the floor and you can be draped over the ball. As long as that feels good on your low back. So you're opening up the front of the hips passively, just relaxing over the ball. Good old ball. And then walk your feet in. And let's take the ball out and put it underneath our head. And we'll just turn our head from side to side, starting there. Just letting it feel good. And when you're ready, you can stay there longer, or you could pick the ball up and put it under the upper back and support your head. And then lift the hips, and you can come into this kind of bridge pose with your shoulders in the ball. Just allowing the ball to kind of get into the upper back and push the shoulders down. And then maybe rolling on the ball. Just having a few minutes of ball rolling in the back. You can do the sides of your body. And just let it feel good. These balls are kind of an indispensable item in my life and in the lives of people who come here to the Hatha Yoga Center. I really think they're great, and a lot of people have foam rollers, which are good too, but I think these balls are even better because you can get them into all different parts of your body so nicely. And they're only like $9 on Amazon or at Fred Meyer. So it's kind of a good deal. I think the foam rollers are like 20 or 30 bucks. I don't know why. And then you might eventually bring the ball underneath your lower back, and you could pick your feet up and kind of roll into the low back and sacrum. SI joints. And then eventually into your outer hips. So staying on one side for a little bit. You can rest your back on the floor, or you can kind of sit on the ball. You can come up to sit, your choice. So getting into the outer hips, which we've just done quite a bit of different stretching. So now you're feeling those muscles, you're massaging them with the ball. I like to drape over the ball, but I feel like I have more control if I'm kind of up on my hands like this. So just staying with it, we're going to do a complete ball rolling to close this class. And you might bring it into the outer thigh, into your IT band. You could step your opposite foot forward so that you have some control over how much weight you put into the ball as you roll into that tight band of tissue. Perhaps eventually rolling over onto the front of your thigh, into the quads, bringing your opposite knee forward. Just taking your time, rolling up and down. You can go across the fibers of the muscle, but it's a little more uncomfortable, so your choice, of course. Staying with your breath. You might be able to come so that you're getting into your psoas. It's above the front of the hip. You don't want to be too much on the front of your hip because there's so much going on there with nerves and vasculature, but if you can get the right angle, you might be able, if you bring it into the side of your lower belly, you might be able to get into your psoas a little bit by draping over the ball. It's kind of intense. So it's kind of like right above the hip. It's a very unique feeling to get into the psoas. You'll know when you feel it. And then just come off of that side. I did my left side. Now we're going to do the opposite. So I'm going to bring the ball under my right buttock and get into the outer hip. that side to begin with. Just taking your time, finding the spots that need it. If you do a lot of walking or running, this is a pretty important thing to do. Hello. How are you? Continuing to breathe in a nice, smooth and complete way, conscious way with the breath. And then you're eventually going to make your way onto the side of your thigh, which might be by bringing your left foot forward and then rolling up and down, so you have some control over how much weight you're bringing into the ball. Might be most of your body weight, you might take a little bit out. That's a pretty intense feeling, so just breathing. And then rolling over onto the quads with the left knee forward or the opposite knee forward. And again, you can go kind of across the fibers of the muscle or up and down. And all the way down to the knee and up towards the hip, avoiding the front of the hip. Maybe even on the inner thigh a little bit. And then if you can get the ball into your psoas, you might be able to drape over the ball, bringing it above the hip into the side of your abdomen. And just see if you can feel into the psoas. Be careful, there's a lot going on in there. You've got other things happening, your digestion and colon and all that. So, but you might be able to hit the psoas, which is a muscle, so it feels like a muscle. It doesn't feel like you're over your organs. You can feel the sensation of the muscle. And then just coming off of that, and you might take one last moment by bringing your forehead onto the ball and just going back and forth kind of over your, into the temples a little bit, maybe even into the jaw. Should feel pretty good. Smoothing out your wrinkles, if you have any. Which you ladies probably don't. And then, when you're ready to just come off the ball, you can set it aside. And just make your way back onto your back. You can draw your knees into your chest for a moment. Bring the soles of the feet together and the knees apart. Maybe bringing the arms up and clasping hands or elbows. Just taking a few breaths here. Bringing yourself towards corpse pose, your final resting pose, Shavasana. Breathing. You could extend your legs and bring your arms down by your sides, palms facing open when you're ready. Coming onto your back and bringing yourself into this position of surrender. Letting your body be very heavy. And taking the time to have this few moments of rest and relaxation. Letting it be the body be very heavy. Letting your jaw relax and the face, all of the muscles in your face softening. Forehead softening, letting the head be heavy. Letting your tongue release in the bottom of your mouth, softening all the way back into your throat. Feeling all of the muscles in the back of the throat that we use to swallow and to make words, the vocal cords, just letting all of that soften, release. Feeling the air coming in and out, the breath coming in and out through your nose, really comfortably, no strain. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Pardon me. Thank you. Letting the front of your chest be open. Feeling your shoulder blades on the floor, the back of your rib cage. Feeling the breath gently coming in and out through your nose. Feeling how it affects your rib cage. So there's a little expansion with the inhale and a little contraction with the exhale. Belly moves with the breath. All of the things you did for your outer hips and your legs are now just kind of releasing from your body, knowing that everything you did was good enough. And just bringing yourself into this moment right now for a couple more breaths, feeling the effects of your practice, of this conscious practice of moving your body, putting your body into different positions and breathing, staying aware of the breath. And just feeling how soft your belly is. Hearing the noises around you. Just taking one last moment here on your back. If you set an intention, you could bring your awareness back to the intention that you set for your practice this evening. Just kind of holding it up in the light of your awareness. And then letting it go. And then from there, you could bring yourself slowly onto your right side, keeping your relaxed body as you bring yourself back to your seat. Just taking your time and finding your long spine, finding your heavy seat. Letting your hands be grounded on your thighs. Letting the front of your chest be open, your head balanced, and just finding a couple of nice, comfortable breaths in and out through the nose, keeping the face relaxed. And then bringing your hands together at your heart, you could bow your head to your own practice, to the kitty, to your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. The light in me bows to the light in you. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.